We go live. Oh. I guess we're live. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jeff Jenkins and Eric Clayman here. Again, after taking a couple of weeks off or whatever we took the time off for. We're back on our Facebook Live series every Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. And so today, if you read any of the things that were sent out, we're going to talk about how a lot of people think if they file a bankruptcy, they can't get a credit card, they can't get a car loan, they can't get a home loan. And so we want to talk about that. And we also want to talk about how these things are treated in a bankruptcy proceeding. And that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. You know, it's interesting, a lot of these moratoriums that were established by whoever, CDC or our governor in New Jersey. These things are rapidly coming to an end. In fact, I saw an article in the paper just this week that in 2020, there was a 89% increase in utility delinquencies, and that the utility delinquency for 2020 was $709 million. And of course, that shutoff is coming to an end sooner or later.
Jeff, what are the two reasons why the utility default number was so high? There's two reasons.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Number one, a lot of people's income was hurt by COVID.
Absolutely.
And it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number two, utility companies were barred from shutting you off. So people figured that out quickly enough, and even if they had the money, didn't pay.
Right.
So those are the two reasons. Right. But as you're saying, those are for the second category, something's got to be done. I did see my public service bill this month explained that they can't shut you off until the end of the month, at the end of the year, pardon me, December 31st. And they are working with you for interest-free repayment over the next year. But that can still be a lot of money. Think about that.
Of course,
utility bills.
We've had clients come in, we're talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 they're behind. And if we do a bankruptcy, we can probably get rid of it, and you wouldn't pay anything. It would just be zero. With all the other things you've got to worry about. I mean, do you have mortgage arrears to pay back? Do you have rent arrears to pay back? At least we can get rid of the utility arrears.
And you keep, let's be clear, you keep your utility service. You know, the biggest utility bills I ever saw, Jeff, was this woman who didn't have car insurance. Mm-hmm. And she drove and she knocked down a telephone pole. And the utility company went after her. That was in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I've seen that before. We had one client who's somebody borrowed their car and took it into Pennsylvania, and the engine or something, I don't know, burned the roadway. And whatever it is over in Pennsylvania, we're suing her to get like $10,000 or $20,000 to fix the roadway. It was, well, 10 or 20,000 because who would fix it, you know?
We have some good stories. You can call us anytime at 856-546-9696. And even if you don't want to file bankruptcy, you can just ask for Jeff and me, and we can just tell you stories.
Absolutely. Another interesting thing I saw, talking about moratoriums and so forth, there are presently about 2 million properties in the United States that are under a forbearance agreement with their mortgage company. And of that amount, 900,000 will go away this year. In other words, the forbearance will be over with this year.
Oh, it's not that it will go away. You got to do something. You have to roll up your sleeves and work with the mortgage company.
No more forbearance for 900.
Half.
Half. Or half if you come from the south.
Half.
Yeah. So that's a pretty significant number, I think.
Yeah. So if what do you say? If you're in a forbearance and your next door neighbor is in a forbearance, if or one of you is going to have to make payment arrangements. And again, it's been our experience, and it's knowledge based on experience, that if you're behind with your mortgage, you're behind with other bills. Behind with your rent, you're behind with other bills.
That's right.
And give us a call. We'll give you not a specific, we don't ask you questions just about your mortgage and nothing else, okay? Try to talk to you about everything. We don't put you in the right track because we like happy clients. And the best way to get a happy client is to treat all the symptoms, okay?
Yep.
And we can do that. And in fact, if you call right now, you can get a copy of Jeff's free book. It's not a free book. Let me say that again. If you call right now, you can get a free copy of Jeff's book. That's the way you say it. The number's there. And make bankruptcy work for you. When you call, just say you've seen this on Facebook. And I'm covering Jeff's name, but he really is the author. You see that? And call us anytime about that. So
Yeah,
Jeff,
really, it is sold on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon, but we'll give it to you for free.
right. It really does have, it's called Make Bankruptcy Work for You. And you turn to any page, and it kind of, the way Jeff and I guess, do this Facebook Live, it's kind of the way this is written. When I met with Mr. Jenkins, I was behind with my mortgage and I had $50,000 in credit card debt. Mr. Jenkins recommended I file a Chapter 13 for me. And then it just goes into why and how we can help you if you have those type of factual situations. And there's a table of contents. And you can just go to the part that relates to your particular situation. Or you can call us for a free consultation, as the Krylon graphic says. But Jeff, you've had good stories so far. We've talked about utilities, and we've talked about people in forbearance. These are two groups that in a non-COVID world, something would have happened already, right? Utilities, mortgage, rent.
We can talk about
Okay, you can.
But the rent arrearage situation in New Jersey is significant. In April of last year, so more than a year ago, we had 40 to 60,000 landlord-tenant cases that were being filed, and they're still just in limbo. You know,
And they didn't get very few got subtracted from that list.
Yes, no, it didn't get subtracted, but in fact, that whatever the number is has been multiplied by some significant amount, I think. So it's it's getting time to really think about doing something about these things. If you want to, you don't want to. If you want to stay in where you're renting, we can take care of that for you. If you want to leave, if you don't do something, your landlord's going to be after you for the money. You're going to get sued for the lease deficiency, and we can take care of either of those situations. You want to stay, we'll take care of it. You want to leave, we'll take care of it.
It's kind of a domino effect. What we're seeing that the clients are coming in to see us are the ones behind in the rent. And then if you go behind that domino, we're seeing the people who can't pay their mortgage because their tenants aren't paying them the rent.
Yeah.
And it's a strange world out there. And our lawmakers are thinking of ways to help people. But the one way that you can be helped that's proven is our current law, which is the bankruptcy code under Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Yeah. And we really can. It's almost like it was written for COVID.
Yeah. All the things that are happening just about can be helped with the bankruptcy filing. And of course, we've had our bankruptcy laws around since 1898, when the Bankruptcy Act came into being. That was the first extended bankruptcy legislation that lasted in this country. You know, Abraham Lincoln was a bankruptcy attorney a little bit.
There's a little of that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, in 1898, who was your favorite congressman? Who did you vote for, and how'd you get that one?
I think I might have voted in the next elections. Maybe right after the turn of the century.
That century.
Right. But anyway.
Let's keep moving though. So and I like the way we're doing this. So first we talked about your home, mortgages, eviction, your utilities, and then what's someone's next biggest expense, Jeff?
A lot of people have credit card debt. You got student loans that are up to $1.7 trillion. That sounds like one of the president's budget proposals, I think.
That's a what do they call that kind of error? That's a rounding error.
Yes. Well, anyway, so $1.7 trillion in student loans, and they've got about a month before they're going to have to start making payments again. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we can absolutely help you with. It's possible that if you're having long-term problems, maybe you were injured or something like that, or you were injured and just can't get a decent job, it's conceivable that we could do something significant for your student loans. Our bankruptcy judges in New Jersey keep talking to us and saying, bring us some cases, bring us some cases. And they're not saying that because they want to give us a tough time. They're saying that because they're interested in writing an opinion that's going to be seen around the country where they do something benevolent for the people who have student loans. And if you know, can't do something like that, we can at least get the people off your back for 5 years. And we've done that before. And it's really worked out. We had one client, we represented his parents in a bankruptcy, and then he was talking to us about doing a bankruptcy, and his student loan debt from his undergraduate work was like $160,000. And his father was a co-signer and his grandmother was a co-signer. So if we didn't do something, they're going to go after the father and the grandmother, or grandmother. And so that's the only number I ever heard. And then when we filed the bankruptcy and everything, it turns out that he did go to Columbia Law School, which is great that you go to an Ivy League law school. Unfortunately, he had to borrow the money, and it was about $100,000 a year. It was added in student loans. So his student loan debt was like $460,000 when we filed the bankruptcy. In Chapter 13s, they have debt limits. You can't owe more than certain amounts of money, whether a certain amount of secured debt, a certain amount of unsecured debt. The operative number here would be the unsecured debt, and that's pretty close to $400,000, $390-some thousand or so right now. Can't be above that number. And so the trustee made a motion to dismiss this case. And I'm telling it because I want you to understand the kinds of things that sometimes we can do, or sometimes the courts will do for you. So I filed a Chapter 13 for him because he didn't have a good job, and there was no way he was going to make the payments on $460,000 the student loan people wanted. He just couldn't do it. So we thought, well, let's get you the protection of the bankruptcy law. We file a bankruptcy, the student loan people have to leave you alone. They can't do anything to you. And we're going to try to buy you some time, up to 5 years, to get in a better job situation where you can actually make the payments that are required. And so even though he was over the limit for doing a Chapter 13, we filed the bankruptcy, and sure enough, the trustee made a motion to dismiss the case, saying that he was over the unsecured debt limit. And he and I looked at the student loans and looked at the interest rates that were charged and all this other stuff. And we couldn't figure out any way to reduce the number. You know, we thought maybe the numbers were not quite right. And so I was about out of my bag of tricks, I think. And every 2 weeks, we get a publication that has all the recent bankruptcy decisions in it. And so right about that time, I looked at our little bankruptcy literature that we just received. And lo and behold, there was a case in Chicago where a bankruptcy judge had exactly the same situation, pretty much. She had a guy who filed a bankruptcy, and he had $500 and some thousand in student loan debt over the limit, right? Over the $400,000 limit. The trustee did a motion to dismiss the case, and the bankruptcy judge denied it and said, that's not one of the reasons that you can dismiss a Chapter 13, number one. Number two, she went on to explain that when Congress set these debt limits, they were thinking more about people in business and using a Chapter 13 when they should have been doing a Chapter 11. And that this limit was not meant for student loans. I mean, she was kind of, she was justifying her ultimate decision, really. But the ultimate decision was that the case could continue. It wasn't going to get dismissed. And what's the trustee going to do? Appeal it? The judge would be real happy with that, I'm sure. And he gets to see the judge every day of the week, pretty much. So I wrote a letter brief to our judge that we had in this particular case I'm talking about, encouraging the judge to go along with this Chicago decision. And the judge did exactly the same thing the Chicago judge did, and said, the motion to dismiss is denied by the trustee, case continues. And so our client now has found a better job. working for a better firm. He's making more money, and he can actually make the payments the student loan people are calling for. So that really.
Right, Jeff. I want to just go over the concepts that you talked about, okay? At the beginning, we talked about the possibility of discharging a student loan.
Mhm.
And we've had other Thursday Facebook shows where it's very hard to discharge a student loan. But at the end, Jeff was talking about the concept of the automatic stay. Any type of bankruptcy, virtually any debt, even if it's non-dischargeable, your assets are protected from that collection action. There's some exceptions for child support and things like that, but pretty much, even if the debt, like an IRS debt, for instance, if it's less than 3 years old, you can't discharge it in a bankruptcy. But a lot of our clients want to file bankruptcy for the first reason, to be protected from the automatic stay, so that a payment plan can be worked out. And that's what Jeff and I do. And Jeff talked about that in a more lengthy discussion about the student loan situation. But the point is, there's the two main tools, or the two main benefits. The tools we use to give you the two main benefits are, number one, stop all the collection actions. Phone calls, letters, evictions, foreclosures, garnishments, all that is stopped. And the second tool, which we try to get for every bill, but some it's just really hard. For every debt, we try to have it discharged. And we're working on that with the student loans. There are some cases that make it very difficult.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Absolutely.
And a lawyer who graduates from Columbia is not the type of sympathetic client that's easy to get the discharge, right? If a poor person who's always been poor with mental or physical challenges present more of a possibility.
Yeah. So let's get back. Originally, we were talking about something that we really haven't talked about much yet. That is getting credit cards, getting car loans and house loans with a bankruptcy going on. And a lot of people think if they file a bankruptcy, they're not going to get these loans. It's not true at all. That's absolutely false. There's no reason why you can't get a car loan, house loan, why you couldn't get a credit card, frankly. And probably these things have more to do with your credit score than they do the bankruptcy filing. And if you do a bankruptcy with us, we have a company that we work with who will help you fix your credit report. And we pay for that for you. It's free. We're like giving it to you as a gift to try to get you back on the right track. You know, the bankruptcy is going to get rid of your debts. It's going to, like Eric said, people can't have to leave you alone with the bankruptcy going on. And ultimately, hopefully, all the debts are discharged. But then your credit report is not in great shape because it wasn't in great shape when you came to see us. You were delinquent on a lot of things. There was foreclosure, et cetera, et cetera. And so in 10 to 12 months, this company that we deal with can generally get your credit score up to a 720. And if you have that kind of credit score, you're not going to have any problem getting car loans, house loans, and so forth, even with a bankruptcy going on. In fact, I can tell you that in years past, we've had clients who would sell their house in the morning and buy a house in the afternoon and get a loan for it. And the Chapter 13 is still going on. I mean, there's things we have to do in court to get permission for them to do this sort of thing, to sell a house, to buy a house, to incur a fair amount of debt. But it works. It can work. So just don't think that if you do a bankruptcy, your credit report is going to be bad forever. That's not true. You're not going to be able to get loans or whatever for years and years. Not true at all.
Generally, if you go to our website, the jenkinsclaiman.com website, you'll see there it is. You'll see it towards the bottom. It's the 720 program. And once you've obtained your discharge in Chapter 7, which typically takes 3 or 4 months, or your Chapter 13 plan is confirmed, which also typically takes 3 or 4 months, really. About the same time. Call us, and we send your email and cell phone number over to this company, and we pay every month. So you don't pay for this. It's, as Jeff likes to say, it's his gift. and we get your credit score back up. Now, I have a client right now applying for a mortgage while in bankruptcy. Mortgage company we're using said he had to be current with the Chapter 13 trustee for 12 months and current with his present mortgage for 12 months, which he is. There's equity in his house. And so when he sells his house and buys, he's actually going to refinance. So he has equity in the house. He needs to refinance, and he can get new mortgage debt while in a Chapter 13.
Mhm.
It happens. Just, you can't muss up once you're in the bankruptcy, then we can't help you. But if you do what we tell you to do, and Jeff's point that I liked the most was, does a bankruptcy hurt your credit score? Well, if you're filing bankruptcy, you don't have a great credit score to begin with for the most part. You have something going on. Job one is to fix it, okay? Stop the eviction, stop the wage garnishment, stop the IRS, stop the car repossession. That's job one. Your credit score, be damned. We'll talk about that later. Let's help you, okay? And then once we help you, as I just said, in 3 or 4 months, we'll put you into a program to get your score up to 7.
Exactly.
How about a car, Jeff?
Well, certainly you can get a car loan with the bankruptcy going on. Some of the lenders want a note from the trustee, the Chapter 13 trustee, if it's a Chapter 13, just saying that the trustee doesn't care. I mean, it's a no position letter. They have no position about getting the car loan, but the trustees may have an interest rate that they don't want you to go above, or a monthly payment that they don't want you to go above. And so as long as you get something from them, if the lender wants that, the lender that you're talking to, if they want that, then you'll be able to get the car loan. If you have problems with the trustee, we can always go to your judge. We can always go to the bankruptcy judge because he's the ultimate authority. The trustee is not. And we would ask the judge for permission for you to obtain this post-petition financing for a vehicle. And the judges are very good about that. And so we have a lot of clients. And the interest rate that you pay is going to depend on your credit score, just like it would without a bankruptcy. So if you've been able to, through us, fix your credit score, you're going to be fine. You're going to get a decent interest rate on a car loan, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we doing?
I'm smiling because I think we're at the point.
Yeah, I guess so. So we didn't go into as much depth as we kind of planned on about, we were going to talk about credit cards and how a bankruptcy affects them and how you can't charge things in close proximity to a bankruptcy and stuff like that. But perhaps we'll save that for another day. But I guess the bottom line here is your credit score is more important than doing the bankruptcy in terms of getting a loan. You can get loans, the bankruptcy going on.
Right, but if you muss up after you file bankruptcy, the score is going to be hurt. It's not the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And if you do things great, if you pay your trustee in Chapter 13, pay your car, pay your mortgage, your score is going to go right back up. And that's Jeff's point. It's your credit score, not a bankruptcy on your credit report that's going to win the day.
So I guess that's all for this afternoon. I guess we'll see you next week. Do we have anything? You're going on vacation. That's right. I forgot about that.
Quite a vacation. I take Thursday and Friday
so
off.
and Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. How about 2 weeks?
Yep. So we'll see you probably in 2 weeks. And I don't think I have any dog shows to go to.
No dog shows.
Now they're little dogs at Champion. From the last time we went.
This is
Well, that's
her cousin.
Actually, that's her great uncle.
Great uncle. I said cousin. Same thing. The dog is the one not in the chair. And again, please give us a call. Mention you saw this on Facebook, and you can get a free copy of Jeff's book.
So until not next week, but the following week, everybody stay safe and God bless.